Shutterstock Music.
Good evening, SWAC fans, MEAC fans, HBCU football fans around the United States. Welcome to another episode of the Black College Experience podcast with me, myself, Derek Thomas, one half of the Black College Experience team in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and the creator, CEO of Black College Experience, the one and only Keisha Kelly in Atlanta, Georgia. Kels.
Welcome, CII. Welcome, CX fans, our independent conference fans, and of course, over in the OVC, none other than Tennessee State. We welcome you all to another week. Like you said, we're going into the recap of what happened this past week. We had a lot to happen, man. They finally unveiled this Black College Football Hall of Fame watch list. Predictions were all over the place, and it was a good thing. I knew Alcorn would have quite a few people on that list. But, we do. In our second half, we do have a guest that's going to be coming on, which is also a former Tiger of Jackson State. But right now, if you're rolling with us and you feel like you want to call in, the number is 719-373-6861. That PIN number is 49170. Again, that's 719-373-6861. PIN number 49170. Before we get started, I just want to say happy heavenly birthday to my father, who would have been 75 years young, as my sister said. So my father would have been 75 years old today. Wow. On August 18th. One of those days we won't soon forget. Every day is a new day. Every day is tough. Some days are tougher than others, but it is, needless to say, it would have been 75 years for my dad today, and we know he does not like the hoopla, but regardless, it was or it is his birthday.
Right, and my stepfather's birthday, I was blessed to have two fathers. His birthday is in 3 days, and he also did not like the hoopla behind his birthday. We always tried to get him.
They hated it.
And the only thing he wanted to do, the only thing he wanted to do on his birthday was barbecue and get drunk, and then we end up eating burnt barbecue.
My dad would be the one we would call. I'd be like, Dad, what are you doing? Watching TV. Like, Dad, that's it. Like, they had gotten past they were no longer going out to eat type things. Mom might cook something. It just depends on what they wanted to do. And I was that person, for people that know, that are listening, you know about stakeout. So I would order stakeout. I would call the local stakeout and order. So, Okay. So, listen, did you say that Lorenzo's on?
Yes, he is.
Okay, so Lorenzo, here's what's
how's it going?
Tigers. See, I said Lorenzo called in at 6:25. You see how Tigers do? They're going to do what they want to do. And that's fine. If Lorenzo wants to call in, it's the Lorenzo Show. Lorenzo Breland, that I did not know graduated from Jackson State, which is so sad because I met him, about 10 years ago. I did not know till about 2-3 years ago that he went to Jackson State. And that's when we were at Southern Jackson State game in Jackson, Mississippi. Now, I'm going to let Lorenzo tell his story because Lorenzo done a lot of stuff. I'm going to let Lorenzo tell Lorenzo's story.
Well, first off, I just want to say good evening, and I'm just thankful, for the opportunity to come on Black College Experience and, just share a little bit about me and myself. Let's see, where do you want me to start? You want me to start from high school or college, or where do you want me to start?
You can take us back to high school. I mean, I don't know nothing about Mississippi. I ain't no Mississippi person, so you're going to have to take me back to high school.
You know what?
You got to rewind me on
now you surrounded by Mississippians. I'm normally surrounded by Jaguars. Now you surrounded by Mississippians. So get me to Alabama.
Back right quick. It's going to rewind me back. So tell us.
Okay, let's take it back to
your high school time. That's fine.
Okay, I graduated from Picayune Memorial High School, a small town, probably about 35 minutes outside of New Orleans. Two-sport athlete there, believe it or not. I was all-state in football and all-state in track. I threw the shot put in the discus as well. Received a football scholarship to Jackson State. Played in the Mississippi-Alabama game, Mississippi-Alabama All-Star game my senior year. Made All-State, all that kind of stuff. Got to Jackson State in 2003. At that time, we were under a brand-new coach, Coach Bell. It was going into his first year, and Robert Kent and Tim Manning and all of those guys, it was their senior year. So it was a lot of
y'all were a deep team.
How can I put it? Yeah, it was it was quite interesting because, you know, we were so talented, but, you know, just like I know, anytime you go through a whole coaching change, that affects the whole program and, you know, the players and the fans and everybody involved. So I got redshirted my freshman year, 2003. Believe it or not, I ended up playing my redshirt freshman year in our second game against Northwestern at the time. Our guard got hurt, and I came in at guard in the fourth quarter of that game, and my first game starting was Southern Heritage Classic in Memphis, 2004. From there, you know, once I got my opportunity to get on the field, I kind of never looked back. From there, I was a 4-year starter, all SWAC, All-American, junior, senior years. Coming out after college, well, we won the SWAC my senior year, 2007. We won the SWAC championship. You know, had a lot of good teammates on that team: Jimmy Oliver, Jamar Johnson, Derek Brooks, Lamar Giles. I can just go on and on with that. We beat Gremlin. I can't remember the exact score, but we ended up beating Gremlin in that 2007 SWAC championship.
Well, before we go further, let's talk about, I want to ask you a question. Talk about your recruitment out of high school. I mean, for an athlete, with all your accolades, what made you decide to choose Jackson State?
Well, honestly, I mean, when it kind of came down to it, recruiting, how can I say it? It's changed a lot from the way it was, let's just say, you know, back in 2003. I mean, you know, it wasn't, you know, we didn't have the huddle that the kids are exposed to now. And, you know, of course, the internet and things like that was not as far, you know, into sports as it is now. So coming out, believe it or not, I actually played O-line and D-line in high school, and I had received, you know, a few offers for defensive line and offensive line. And, you know, believe it or not, I actually wanted to go to Mississippi State. Coming out, I wanted to go to Mississippi State. And I was actually on my way to Mississippi State, and at that time, Jackie Sherrill got fired, the head coach at Mississippi State. So, you know, my recruiting, you know, new coach, all of that kind of stuff just kind of, let's just say it was a wash, you know what I mean? So, you know, after that, just a lot of tradition at Jackson State. Believe it or not, I actually had my brother and my sister were there already, you know, and they had been recruiting me as well because my dad's a big alumni. Like I said, I had my brother and sister there as well. You know, a lot of rich tradition. You know, a lot of the greats, Jackie Slater, Walter Payton, Lynn Barney. That list goes on and on. So made the decision to go to Jackson State, and it turned out to be, you know, the best decision I probably have made in my life.
I mean, yeah, because I remember seeing some of the offensive lines you anchored. I mean, Jackson State offense was like, you know, even on the bill, y'all had some pretty good offenses, and definitely that year under comedy with Jimmy Oliver as the quarterback, and that championship winning score was 42-31 over Grambling. I'm pretty sure Grambling fans want to forget that game. You know, the beatdown y'all put on, I guess, you know, not necessarily beat, but just an awesome game by Jimmy Oliver. And just, you know, the offensive line set the tone. I mean, y'all gave Oliver time to pass the ball, opened up holes for your running backs. I mean, just a total offensive performance by, you know, you leading that offensive line.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, that's credited to our coach at the time, Coach Johnson. One of his main philosophies was pound the rock, you know, and of course, you know, being the senior, you know, being the center, kind of the mainstay of the offensive line, you know, that's one of the main things we focused on was, running the ball, controlling the game, controlling that line of scrimmage.
So now, Lorenzo, let me ask you this, because I know with football and then you said a two-sport athlete, was Jackson State your first choice or was it your only choice? Where did Jackson State rank? Because I know when I applied for school, honestly, I can tell people this, Jackson State was one of my choices. Southern was one of my choices. I think Grambling might have been on there, and then was a choice. FAMU was a choice, but I think I made the best choice. Was Jackson State your first choice or your only choice? Where did it rank as far as you playing the sport, or as far as you saying, okay, this is where I want to go, get my education, this is what I want to do as far as life after high school, or what I want to do after, or as far as college, rather?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, it's one of those things, like I said, I mean, my dad was a very, very big alumni of Jackson State, and they were, they had been early in my recruiting process as well. Believe it or not, coming out of high school, I think I had about 12 offers, total, various schools from, D1, D1AA to D, all the way to D2. But it was kind of more so just, finding a home. You got to, when you go on those visits, and as an athlete and even as just a, regular student, college is a big transition. So getting to a place and being comfortable in that place and, feeling at home, a lot of it is about a fit too. So that was probably one of the biggest things for me, that when I actually got there, and went on my visit and saw it and, experienced the culture and experienced the pride and the tradition, it just kind of resonated with me to say, hey, this is where I need to be. So, like I said, from that, I mean, it's, I've got lifelong friends, lifelong experiences, a bunch of great stories, a bunch of different things. Ended up pledging Sigma while I was there. I mean, so it's just a lot of good things that happened from that decision of going to Jackson State.
Right, like you said, you pledged the greatest fraternity in the world, our fraternity, Phi Beta Sigma, which I'm also a member. That's one of the reasons why we became friends. Once I met you,
Absolutely.
and found out that we were both fraternity brothers, and then of course I couldn't talk much noise to you because at that time we had not really come close to beating Jackson State, and I went to Valley. Since y'all want to talk about y'all school list, well, Jackson State was number one on my list. I mean, my family was Jackson State. I grew up rooting for Jackson State, grew up hating Alcorn. They were not on my list. Mississippi State was on my list, Tougaloo College, Delaware State, which would have been far from home. And then how I ended up going to Valley was just off a tour I went on and signed up for the Mount Bridge program and went to Valley for a summer, and it was home. So, but I grew up being a Tiger. So that was kind of weird going against the grain. And of course, unfortunately not winning much in football, but we got a chance to clip y'all that one time on the Cummidges. So I can brag about that until we get our next win over y'all.
That's it.
Which we don't know when that will be. So now,
probably never.
So let's go into your life after Jackson State. You graduated and you moved on to, you played arena, and this is where I met you when you were playing arena football. So I'm just this kid in Huntsville, Alabama. This is where I met Lorenzo, playing for, at that time, the Tennessee Valley Vipers. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. You were on the team that won the championship. Correct me if I'm wrong there.
With the Vipers?
Yes.
I came the year after they had won the championship.
You came the year after. Okay, so that would have been the Tony, the Travis Blanchard, all of them.
Travis Blanchard, Tony Colston.
Correct.
Yeah.
So they had, of course, and this is how I started so much of my love into football. I started off with arena football. That's where I started. So tell us about this. You've done the Vipers, you've done the Tulsa Talents, you've done the New Orleans Voodoo. Talk about the playing time with the arena football team, and talk about how you because you didn't go to the NFL, and I'm sure that was an aspiration. Talk about that transition time from playing college football into going into arena football.
Okay. I mean, like you said, a lot of it, that after college transition, and, I think that's every athlete's dream of wanting to play, at the highest level possible. And it was actually a hard transition for me. For one, I was considered undersized as far as height in my position. For two, coming out of, a black college isn't always the best, how can I put it, the best recruiting ground for the NFL, especially seeing how my career there, we had a lot of turnover in coaches. But, I ended up landing a few NFL workouts and things like that. Nothing never really stuck. Like I said, it was more so kind of my height and just, different issues, a lot of politics with the NFL. A lot of people don't understand, and there's a lot of politics with arena football as well. But had the opportunity to play. Believe it or not, I started off in Spokane, Washington. Had a chance to go up there. That was my first opportunity with the arena. Ended up leaving Spokane and coming to Huntsville, Alabama, like you said, Keisha, when we met, when it was the Tennessee Valley Vipers.
Right.
And arena, believe it or not, is similar, to NFL. I mean, we play an 18-game season, just like the NFL. I mean, we're traveling, we're moving around different places, just like the NFL. I mean, so it was definitely a great experience. So I played a year with Tennessee Valley. Then they actually changed the name when they were going through the AF1 process from AF2,
right.
through that transition, and they changed the name to the Alabama Hammers. After
right.
that, I want to say it switched hands with.
That's true.
Yeah, I want to say it switched hands with management, and they reestablished a team in Georgia. They reestablished the Force. When they transitioned to Georgia, that's when I got a call from the coach in Tulsa, and I ended up going to Tulsa, Oklahoma for a year. And believe it or not, after the Tulsa team, the management decided to pack up that team and move the Tulsa Talents to San Antonio. So when they had the opportunity to move to San Antonio, I ended up getting the call from the new coach with the Voodoo. And, it was an opportunity for me to be 35, 45 minutes from my house, play in front of, a lot of friends and family and things like that. So I definitely jumped at that opportunity, and I was with the Voodoo from 2012, 13, all the way up to 2014.
Which is not that long ago. I completely forgot about the Alabama Hammers, which is so funny because I was a season ticket holder. I actually was a season ticket holder in those transitional times twice. But I remember all of that, which is also, ironically, Quentin Burrell. I met Quentin in the same time frame when he was playing for the Vipers, then went over to the Georgia Force, which now, of course, he's coaching at Grambling. So
correct.
It's funny how it comes back full circle that you meet all of these people, and people think I know all these people during the HBCU realm, and I'm like, no, I met these people like 10 years ago. Like, I met y'all years ago. And it's so funny how it comes back into full circle.
No
That's
doubt,
how us HBCU people do. We just pop up. So Zoe, like Keisha said, you stopped playing in 2014, 2015?
Yeah, 2014. Believe it or not, I actually got injured. We were playing Pittsburgh on a Monday night game in Pittsburgh, and I took a blow to the head. So I actually ended up with like a level 3 concussion and fractured my cervical spine. So it was a real bad injury. A real tough time, and I prayed about it, and I talked to God going through the rehabilitation process and rehab and everything. And I told him, hey, if I can get through this, I'm done playing. I'm not going to be one of the guys who's going to try to Iron Man or try to beat the game. I mean, I love the game. It's going to be here with me, and it's going to be here after I'm long and gone. So, after that 14 year, like I say, going through just the rehab process and the injury process and, just made a smooth transition into teaching and coaching. So, yeah, I've been doing that ever since.
Right, and that, like I said, the last time I saw you, you were coaching the Vicksburg Gators. In
2017.
Yeah,
correct.
You were coaching the Gators at a jamboree, and when I looked over there, and I saw you. Because I actually interviewed you that day, and I posted it on our website. It was good to see you doing well, but your time in Vicksburg did not last as long as you would like. So talk about that situation as far as your start at Vicksburg, getting the head coaching position, and what happened with you leaving Vicksburg.
Yeah, like I said, so after I retired from the AFL, I actually ended up, believe it or not, I was coaching while I was still playing. I just wasn't coaching and teaching full time. So my first coaching job was actually at Bailey Magnet. I left Bailey Magnet. I was there for 2 years and ended up at Murrah High School in Jackson. And then from Murrah, I ended up in Vicksburg. So I was there 3 years. I served as director of football operations, served as a linebacker coach, served as the JV head coach, served as boys and girl head powerlifting coach, assistant track. Pretty much you name it, I pretty much did it. Ended up getting an opportunity in 2017. Had an unfortunate situation with our head coach at the time, and ended up getting an opportunity to be the head coach in 2017, which I didn't think it was just going to be a one and done deal. But there was a lot of things going on in Vicksburg at the time. Some of them were out of my control, and it was just, looking back now, it was a stepping stone. I love the kids there. I made some great friends, great relationships with the people, my coworkers, and, had some great times, some great memories there. But it's just coming down to me and, the administrators not really seeing eye to eye. So it was a situation where after that 2017 year, we pretty much parted ways. So ended up coming back down to Kiki, which is my hometown. So I served here last year as just a defensive line coach, and this year I'm a defensive line coach, and I'm going to be the current head girls track coach as well.
Yes, indeed. And they say sometimes home is where you need to go. And, that unfortunate situation in Vicksburg, because I got a chance to see you coach your kids. And I saw how they responded to you. And I was only one game, but those kids in the games that it wasn't one game. It wasn't full games, but it was against different opponents. Those kids worked hard for you. So I got a chance to see you coach those kids. And, of course, some incidents happen. They say, that's blamed on the coaches. Sometimes you can't really blame that on coaching. Sometimes the kids have to take responsibility for actions that the kids do. But, of course, they want to say, it's on the coaching. I know your character.
Right.
And when I read that, of course, I'm talking about the fight. That's not your character. And for them to associate that with your character and with you being a man of Sigma and with you being a man of honor and a man of integrity, that bothered me. And that's one reason why I wanted to talk about it. And you can show where you bounced back from that. You didn't let that stop you from giving back to young men and young women and from doing something that you love to do, which is coach. And, because, as a football coach, a track coach, and I didn't know you did all those other, sports. So, man, you have a lot of advice and knowledge to give. So, in my eyes, Vicksburg, they saw your worth. So, you didn't have no problems before you became the head coach. And one incident happens, and they attach that to your character. But now you're home, and you're not where you. I always say.
Well, let me back up a little bit. It's one of those things, and I appreciate everything you said. And it's one of those things where, and I'm gonna tell you, kind of like I told them in the interview. The way I do things, it's not gonna be my way. It's not gonna be their way. It's gonna be the right way.
Exactly.
That way I can lay my head down at night. I'm not, mistreating kids, have to worry about anything like that. And like you say, the unfortunate situation in the playoffs, I mean, you know, we started off to a rough start. You know, but we ended up going on a little 6-game winning streak.
Right. Y'all started out
the
0-5.
Playoffs. Right. Started off 0-5. I mean, we had a tough schedule that year. That schedule was not my schedule that I picked. I wouldn't have played 3 6A powerhouses, you know, my first year if I could have picked the schedule. But that wasn't my schedule. I had to deal the cards, play the cards that were dealt to me.
And you still went to the playoffs.
You know, and still made the playoffs, you know, through all that adversity, through a home coaching transition, through, you know, a lot of he say, she say, you know, people not really understanding the facts and getting all the information, even until, like you said, that last game in the playoffs, you know, versus Olive Branch, you know, we did have a fight situation. And it was one of those things where, honestly, you know, the refs had a big hand in letting the game get out of control. Because as a coach is one of those things, you know, you teach intensity, you know, you teach discipline, you harp on it, you coach on it, and the kids understood that. Well, the game has changed now, and they have things called taunting penalties, you know, as well as, you know, targeting in high school. We never received any of those fouls that night. However, Olive Branch received 2 taunting penalties for taunting us. You know, they received, you know, a couple targeting penalties and late hits and excessive celebrations. And, you know, they were doing, you know, if you go back and look at it, they were doing some of the things, you know, when you talk about character and sportsmanship that were a little questionable, you know, and it was an unfortunate situation. But like you said, I know, you know, through God, he brings me through everything. You know, I've been through, like you said, I've been through a lot. I've done a lot. You know, and I try to stay grateful and stay humble and just, you know, persevere and push through it. And I say, well, God, you know, whatever it may be, if it's not meant for me to be here, show me where you want me to go, you know. So, like I say, through perseverance and, you know, a lot of faith and grace, you know, I made it through that whole situation.
Yes, indeed. And it's just good. You're back home. You're back home where, I guess you can say where on the football practice field, that's where I like to say where I learned a lot about being a young man, about will, about not quitting, about not giving up. Now you're back where you learn a lot of those lessons that turned you into the football player and helped you become the man that you are. And now it's like a circle. You know, you're now back. Correct. Where you learn a lot of your lessons to bestow lessons that you learn, and also bestow wisdom of your life and your coaching prowess into the next great athlete, football player, track athlete. If does Picayune have a powerlifting team?
We do.
Okay, so hey, you're back home where you know the lay of the land, and sometimes people can't go back home and be successful. You have, right? I mean, and I think that's a great thing that you're able to go back home and teach and coach the next great athlete come out of your hometown. Kels?
Okay, so now that we talked about what you've done, what you're doing, let's talk about the future of Jackson State. Let's talk about this Tigers football team, this coach. Let's talk about where you think, because, of course, you've gone through, and like you said, you know about coaching changes, and there is a culture, and I just say that you have arrogant teams in the SWAC. I don't care whether you win games or not. You have arrogant teams in the SWAC. Southern is an arrogant team. Jackson State is an arrogant team. Grambling is arrogant team. Alcorn is becoming that arrogant team as well. So with Jackson State, talk about where you think the future of this Tiger team is, because I think it's going to be some surprises this year with this Jackson State team. They're telling me that I'm wrong. They're telling me that I'm going to look like a fool, because I was banking on Tony Hughes like 2 years in a row. Derek can tell you, I was banking on Tony. He let me down twice.
Me too.
But this Jackson State team, I think, is going to be something different. Now, granted, you're going to have to build. It's going to take a season or 2 or 3 to get it together. But what do you think the future of Jackson State football is going to look like?
Well, honestly, so far, I think what Coach Hendricks is doing is actually great. I think he's laying the foundation. I've seen the moves that he made as far as the signing class and recruiting. A lot of big moves, especially a big quarterback transfer. So it's going to be an exciting year. A good friend of mine, Coach O, he's got the offensive line coach. And, you know, just like I know, and I'm not saying it just because I played offensive line, but that's where the game is won, in the trenches.
Exactly. I agree.
And I think if they can have a good year and they can gel together, then I think we shouldn't be thinking nothing less than the SWAC championship.
So you think your Tigers are going to dethrone those? Kills, they're already arrogant. They're not becoming arrogant. They're the 5-time SWAC East champs. So they're past arrogant. They're I guess you can say in just, I can't think of the word right now. Just they don't be quiet. Alcorn fans are having success like they have never had. Not even under McNair has Alcorn been this dominant in the East. And I'm frankly ready for it to end. I'm ready for Jackson State to, you know, climb back up to the mountain. Maybe one of the Alabamas can climb back up to the mountain. I know we're not ready. My team is not ready to win a SWAC championship, but hopefully, and we have a Tiger, Coach Dancy, over there building the Delta Devils, trying to get them. My former
teammate, yeah,
right.
He's making some good moves.
Right, and who knows? He may call you to go coach the offensive line. He has Valley, you know, excited. He's brought some excitement, so I think we're gonna compete. But I agree with Kels. I think Jackson State is ready to take a shot at Alcorn. Last year, Jackson State had a chance to claim the SWAC East. You know, after a coaching change, after the debacle against Southern, after the coaching change was made, Jackson State went on a little mini run and had a chance to claim the SWAC East with an interim coach, with as much turmoil as the Tigers had. Now they bring back a lot of talent. The coach knows the team. They don't have to change a whole lot. And then you adding a talent like Jalen Jones. You adding a talent like Daniel Crowell, who I've been following since he was in high school, and he's a very talented wide receiver. So
he's a game changer.
If this is the time for Jackson State to strike and take advantage of Alcorn, we know what they have. They have Waller and they have Noah Johnson. So they have two offensive weapons that are very, very dangerous. You know, they have been running the SWAC for the past couple of years. But I really think that Jackson State has a chance.
I wanted to hear what you thought of Jackson State. Derek wants to take it over to Alcorn. I said Jackson State.
I talked about Jackson State.
You have took it to Alcorn. You have took it to
I'm gonna be honest. When it comes to the SWAC, and I can say that because I got some SWAC hours. You know, I got some SWAC hours. I put a lot of time in the SWAC. And by saying that, I can say that one thing I know about the SWAC, no matter how anything looks on paper, it's always going to be a toss-up. Hardly ever, you know, do what they expect or the preseason predictions hold true, especially in the SWAC because, you know, like you say, every fan in the SWAC is arrogant. You know, so it's almost to the point now where every game is a big game.
Right.
You know, whether it's a classic or not, every game is a big game. Every game is a rivalry. You know, and one thing we used to say, even when we're playing, no matter who we're playing, family included, or something either, you know, we're going to get everybody's best game, you know, when we step on the field. You know, we're not going to sneak up on anybody. So I think, you know, as long as the Tigers realize that, hey, you know, we got a bullseye on our chest and on our back. You know, so we're not going to sneak up anybody. We got to come every Saturday ready to play.
Right. And I think one of the things is that you have to look at it game by game, and it's week by week. And I think that's what a lot of players have adopted to. I know Southern was one of those teams. I think everybody started adopting that mantra across the board in different conferences that we're going game by game. Instead of trying to look 5 games ahead, they're going game by game. So we'll start with Bethune-Cookman. I want to say Bethune-Cookman might be predicted to be third in their conference on their side. What do you think Jackson State is going to do against this Bethune-Cookman team?
As long as we execute and don't turn over the football, I think we should come out victorious. That's just me. I know it's that's the one that's the Labor Day Classic in Atlanta, right?
Correct. September 1st. Correct. SWAC Challenge. Correct.
Yes, I mean, you're gonna have those first game wrinkles and those first game mistakes, until you can try to, gel and get it together. But like I said, I think if we can overcome that and just come to play and protect the football, I think we'll be okay. And believe it or not, those first week 1 and week 2, just looking at the schedule, is gonna really be tough for us. Because week 1 we play on that Sunday, and then we come right back 5 days later and play on that Saturday. So, starting off, Georgia State schedule isn't easy by any means. But like I said, I think it's going to start, in the trenches with the offensive line, good quarterback play, of course, good defense, and, just get after it every week.
I agree. I mean, I think this is going to be a good year for the Tigers in year 1 under Coach Henry, as far as him being the official head coach. I want to know who's going to be the quarterback. Is it going to be Ponder? Is it going to be Jalen Jones? Is it going to be one of the other 2 quarterbacks? That's what I want to see, because I've been following Jalen Jones ever since he was a junior in high school, because he was being recruited by Dan Mullen and the Mississippi State Bulldogs. And then, of course, Mullen goes to Florida. Jones goes to Florida, has an incident, transfers to Jackson State. Now, this is unprecedented. You don't necessarily see a 4-star have a potential to play all 4 years at an HBCU. So if Jones can keep the hype behind his recruitment, because he did go through spring practice at Florida, and now he's competing for the position at Jackson State. I mean, you all have a wealth of talent at quarterback, because Ponder was a pretty good high school quarterback. So you now, from a position where it was looking weak, it's now a position of strength.
We're loaded
at the best position.
Absolutely.
At the best position that you need to win. Now, we know the past couple of years Jackson State hasn't really been throwing the ball. You all have been more of a ground and pound. And now with the quarterback talent that you guys have, that's going to open up the running game and for your wide receiver, like I already mentioned, Crowell, and the defense. I grew up a Tiger. I was used to seeing Jackson State's defense dominate, and I have a good feeling that those days are coming back.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more.
Kel, do you have anything else for Lorenzo?
I don't have anything else.
Well, for a frat, we want to thank you for calling in. If you want to stay on with us and just comment on with the rest of the show, man, we would definitely love to have you. What you want to
do?
All right.
I want to tell both of y'all, thank you for y'all allowing me to come on the show. Grateful for the opportunity. And, I look forward to talking some more football with y'all here in the near future.
Oh, yeah. And like I said, you're a guest now, but now you're family. Me and you are already family. So anytime you want to come on and talk HBCU football, man, you got the number. Call in and chop it up with us. So
okay, I sure will.
All right. So now transitioning to our topics for this week. Kels, last week we talked about the new head coach getting ready to be named at Florida Memorial. When you I meant to watch that at 6 p.m. I'm so upset at myself that I missed the announcement, but guess what? You made sure that I found out. You tagged me to it. Florida Memorial now has a new head coach as they look to revive their football program. And it's a guy who's familiar with the area, and his name is Tim Ice Harris, who has 22 years of experience of coaching in the high school ranks and some college ranks as his career. So he's been a winning head coach at Booker T. Washington in Miami, where they finished as a 2016 state semifinal runner-up. So they're bringing somebody in who knows the lay of the land in Florida. Now, we don't know we know he's not going to bring in 4- and 5-star recruits, but those kids that slip through the cracks, he's going to get. So if he can, get talented kids initially and start building with talented kids, I mean, Florida Memorial, I just want to see them compete. I'm glad they I'm glad they decided to bring back the football program. But talk about what do you think about them bringing in Coach Harris as they try to rejuvenate this football program at Florida Memorial?
Well, first and foremost, I think it's a good thing for him because whenever you're on the end or you're on the beginning of something again, when they're rejuvenating something, of course, it's pressure on you, but you get the opportunity to show people this is what you can do. You can be the person that does the rejuvenation to the program. You're the person that they're counting on to be the highlight of the team. So with him being able to come back and for them to do that, it's so good because you even look at teams like UAB when they got their team back. When you look at stuff like that, you're like, these teams have been gone, and we think when these teams are wiped out, they're automatically gone and they're done for good. Even let's take a look at Winston-Salem. Winston-Salem State baseball team is gone. There could be a chance that one day they might come back. So when you get to be in that position where it's a rejuvenation and you get to bring it back, everybody loves football. Everybody loves to watch football, whether it's Pee Wee, Pop Warner, whatever, high school, college, NFL. Everybody likes the sport of football. So to see that that's coming back, and that's also a revenue maker. So that is also a pull for that school. So to see that rejuvenation and for him to be in that position to have that much experience and that stature says a lot about what they're trying to do with that program.
Exactly. And it's going to help the community to support the program because young men who may not get recruited by the bigger schools now have another opportunity to play football in college, get an education, play the game that they love, learn some life lessons. And I just think that is a great and wonderful opportunity. And I think it's a great move by Florida Memorial to bring back their football team at this time. But before we go on to our next topic, I want to go ahead and take a commercial break. And then when we come back, we're going to talk about Caylin Newton being rated as an athlete instead of a quarterback on the FCS All-America third team. So, we already know how the black quarterback has been stigmatized or stereotyped. We're going to talk about them labeling him an athlete instead of a quarterback on the FCS Stats All-America team. We'll be right back in 31 seconds with more Black College Experience.
I already knew that I was going to go to college, from a young age. I definitely want to major in political science. After that, I'm going to get my law degree. Then I'm going to come back to Detroit, boost the economy, become the mayor or something, try to make the situation better for other people. I feel like I owe it to the city. I'm determined. It's gonna happen. My name is Justin, and I am your dividend.
All right, we're back with more Black College Experience. And over the last couple of years, no athlete or quarterback or student athlete per se, since he's been labeled an athlete on this All-America team, has garnered more exposure than the name of Caylin Newton because of what he does on the football field and who he is as an individual. He's the younger brother of Panthers quarterback Cameron Newton. And Caylin Newton has handled his business on the football team, has a victory over an FBS opponent, has put up the numbers, and he has been added to award list, and he was also added, Kels and Lorenzo, to the FCS Stats third team All-American team, but not as a quarterback, but as an athlete. And to me, we know the stereotype that's labeled on the black quarterback, that he's an athlete, not a quarterback. That bothers me because you say he wasn't good enough to be named as one of the three quarterbacks on your teams. Well, but you label him an athlete and label him third team. Some people say we should be happy that he got this recognition, but he's a quarterback, not an athlete. Kels, what do you think about that when you look at how the black quarterback has made strides in college football and in the NFL, but still has a stereotype of just being an athlete?
I think any way that we can find to pretty much dumb down, I say dumb down, and that's exactly what it is. Any way we can find to dumb down, negate from, take away from, to lesser than a quarterback. And the funny thing is when you look at Caylin and you have Cam was one of one of the best quarterbacks his rookie season. Cam had a very great rookie season. So when you see somebody like his brother coming behind him, and for you to just call him an athlete instead of just giving him the title that he has rightfully earned, beating teams like UNLV, doing the things that he's done, like just go ahead and call it what it is. Say it what it is. And it's like we're for every 5 steps that we take 10 steps back. There's no logical reason to call it like that. I don't care what it is. There's no reason. So just call it what it is. The man's a quarterback. It is what it is. Like, it's no reason to try to dumb down and take away from what he's done just for the sake of doing such.
Lorenzo, what's your take on them labeling Cam Newton an athlete, and not necessarily just putting an athlete in that place for that position, but out of the top 3 quarterbacks named to that team, he wasn't named one of those 3, but they named him an athlete.
Kind of to reiterate what both of you guys said. I mean, it's one of those things when you look at a quarterback, especially the way college football is now. Now your quarterback is almost right up there with the head coach as the face of the franchise. So I think a lot of your typical, when you say poster boy, or when you say, face of the franchise, the face of the college team, or the face that you're going to see when they're playing in those big bowl games and things of that nature. I think a lot of the times, just like y'all said, they just dumb it down to say, hey, well, he's an athlete, or he may be a prolific runner. The same way they had Michael Vick. Oh, he's a prolific runner, but can he read? Can he make the big throws? Can he do this? And it's always those questions around a black quarterback, but you don't hear some of those same questions around a white quarterback.
Exactly.
Nobody's ever questions Drew Brees' athleticism. Nobody ever questioned Tom Brady's athleticism, or therefore their decision making. So I mean, I think it's just going to take just continual push at that position. I mean, because I can even go as far as breaking down Bears when I was coming in, and wasn't too many black centers. They considered the center the quarterback of the offensive line.
Exactly.
So up until about, I think, maybe Big Gerard with Dallas, other than him, it may have been only 1 or 2 black centers. So a lot of times people look at the quarterback, but start taking a look at those centers too. I mean, they treat both of those positions because on the football field they're considered thinking positions. Mm-hmm. A quarterback, you got to be able to read coverages, diagnose, break down, understand, interpret everything. Well, the same way with, if you're at center. So I think a lot of it, I mean, and he's not the first one. I mean, you can look at, some great college black quarterbacks, and they'll try to transition to receiver. I can remember the great career Pat White had at West Virginia. They tried to transition him to wide receiver.
Yep, sure did.
It's a bunch. I mean, I can go on Ohio State when they have a black quarterback. They kind of transition them, or either they fall out of that top tier quarterback when it comes to the draft. You'll look. They'll
Terrell
take
Pryor.
Yeah, they'll take a guy. You know what I mean? Now, if you're performing at any FCS school, any school, and you're proving that, hey, I'm a winner, I'm a game changer, I'm a playmaker, I can, make good decisions, make the throws, make the reads, pretty much you can play, quarterback. Well, all of a sudden now, if this guy's black, guess what? Like we said now, he's an athlete. So what does that term mean? Because when you say athlete to a coach, is he returning kicks? Is he returning punts? Is he doing anything out of his primary position? And if he's not, then that's his primary position. I mean, is he returning punts? Is he returning kicks? No, that's the athlete. If I have a DB and his primary position is DB, but he also can return punts or return kicks, now his term is athlete because he has more than one position. But if he's a quarterback and he's a true quarterback, he's a quarterback, and he has to be labeled as a quarterback. So if either he's good enough to make the top 3 as a quarterback or he's not good enough at all. But, slapping athlete on there, that's questionable.
I agree with you, Fred. And here's the thing. He's been named to the 2019 CFPA FCS National Player of the Year watch list as an athlete / quarterback. He's a quarterback in my eyes. That's what he plays. He's a dual threat quarterback. That's what he is. And I really think they should have just left him off the list if they were not going to name him to one of the 3 quarterback spots that they have, because you take that away from an athlete that has that distinction. Cameron Newton, while everybody is an athlete, but on the football field, he's a quarterback. You know, that's what he's not returning kicks, he's not returning punts, he's not getting interceptions. He's a quarterback, a dual threat quarterback, and I think FCS, you know, I know what they were trying to do. They wanted to reward him for his ability on the football field, but you should have named him at 2 on the 3 quarterback spots, because I'm pretty sure some of those quarterbacks that were named ahead of him, he has comparable stats to them. Caylin Newton just plays at an HBCU. You know, all of the quarterbacks that were named to the FCS first, second, and third team are all at PWI FCS schools. So we didn't really have a lot of HBCU players named on the team as well, just to name a few, even though it's Alcorn and Muhammad, Wall on the second team, Muhammad on the third team, Prairie View's Parker, defensive back, third team, North Carolina A&T's Pettiford, offensive line, second team, North Carolina A&T's Frank McCain, defensive back, second team, Howard Jaquez Eddard, third team, and then Howard Caylin Newton, athlete, third team. So that's all from HBCUs that are on this vaunted FCS All-America squad. So we're definitely underrepresented, I feel. But we're used to that, you know, and we're used to that. I think the best thing for us to do is to continue to recruit well and start beating some of these teams, even if they, you know, beating some of them. And then we will get, I feel that will help with the recognition that we know we deserve. Caylin Newton, I keep wanting to call him Cam. Caylin Newton is a quarterback, not an athlete. Now, earlier in the show, Kels mentioned about the list for the Black College Football Hall of Fame, and it's too many for us to go down and name. And we're not. I would be talking for 20 minutes if I try to name everybody that was on that list.
Right.
So if you want to see the players that were named to the Black College Football Hall of Fame Player of the Year award watch list, just go to the Black College Football Hall of Fame's website, and you can find that information there. But it was a lot of teams, conferences named. I will go through this. SWAC had 13. The MEAC had 15. The SEAC had 6. And the CIAA had 9. So well represented from all those schools. And like I said, if you want to see the whole list, visit the Black College Football Hall of Fame's website to see the list. Now, we got about 7-8 minutes left in the show. And last night, Kels, I saw a tweet come across my feed from my good friend Devontae Kincaid, a player who I've been watching since he was in high school, followed him while he was at my hated Mississippi State rival, Ole Miss, and then he came home to the SWAC. I'm saying yes, home to the SWAC, because he came into the SWAC and took it by storm. And after he graduated from Grambling, he hoped to get a chance at the NFL. He didn't get a chance at the NFL a while. He went to several indoor football leagues, the Canadian Football League. I saw him tweet yesterday that he got an invite from Oliver Luck to be in the draft pool for the XFL. And I think that is awesome. I think that's great for Devontae. I know he's excited about getting a chance to continue playing the game that he loves so much. And I'm just excited for him. So what do you think about Devontae getting another chance to play football, Kels?
I think it's an absolutely wonderful thing. We often discuss how, you know, a lot of times we look at the end-all, be-all is going to the NFL and going to the NBA and going to the MLB. We never think that there are so many different levels, AFL, CFL, XFL. There's so many different levels that you can play football now. Playing ball overseas, Canadian basketball, you know, doing these instead of major league, minor league baseball. So many levels that you can do. So this just shows the heart and the determination, because he's still out there, he's still training, he's still practicing, he's still giving it his all. And I think that it's a good thing that he did decide, or that he did get the invitation to play.
Exactly. I think that's wonderful. I hope he sticks. I can't wait to see him get back on the football field, and hopefully he can work his way up to get into the NFL, get a chance in the NFL. Because when he came out of Grambling, there were talks about his size. He wasn't big enough. But there's a young man, I can't remember his first name right now, but he plays quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts. No, I'm not talking about Jacoby Brissett. His last name is Walker. He played football for Temple. He's number 5. He's 5'11", 219 pounds. When you think of 5'11", 219 pounds, you think of a running back or a cornerback. No, he plays quarterback, and he had some pretty good throws that were dropped by wide receivers. So if I know this guy played at Temple, FBS school or whatever, but Devontae Kincaid was a 4-star Elite 11 quarterback talent. So if this young man that's playing for the Colts can do it at 5'11", Devontae Kincaid can do it at 6'1.5". And I'm pretty sure he's put on, since he's been in these pro systems in the Arena League in Canada, that he's put on some weight. He's grown into a more solid athlete. And now with the XFL up there, we know he's going to put on some weight in the XFL because, hey, Vince McMahon is the owner of the XFL. Being the WWE, he's going to make sure the players look good. So I hope this gives Devontae a chance to showcase his abilities, where he can get a chance to make it to the NFL, because I really feel like he got a raw deal coming out of college to the NFL, because we know one of my favorite quarterbacks, Amir Hall, I hope he gets a chance to continue his career in the XFL, because he was not given a chance to try out for the NFL. To my knowledge, I searched the rosters. I never saw him get signed. And, I'm very, 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 very disappointed that Amir Hall is not in someone's training camp somewhere, to play quarterback in the NFL. Before we get out of here, I've got a few news notes to make. All right?
No. Let me do this first, because I got quite a few of them that we got to get out there. We have to get these out here. Right now, we do. We are part of the marketing and advertising for the Gulf Coast Challenge for a second year. So if you have not bought your tickets for that, the Gulf Coast Challenge, make sure that you get your tickets at the GulfCoastChallenge.com. That will be Alabama A&M, and also they will be playing Central State. So please make sure you support that effort once again. Coming up, of course, is going to be the Hall of Fame game on September 1st in Canton, Ohio. That is in the Tom Benson Stadium in Ohio. That's going to be Alabama A&M and the Morehouse Maroon Tigers. That is the biggest game that will be coming up. Got to send congratulations to none other than a former guest. That's going to be Aaron Tiller. He did win a championship last week, AFL championship with the Albany Empire. So congratulations to my Jaguar, or former Jaguar, that did win that championship on, last Sunday. That did take place. That went down on last Sunday. I had the opportunity to attend yesterday inaugural gala for the Morehouse Maroon Tigers. It was a fundraiser, really great event, great time to get dressed up. So it was a really, really great time to actually do something different. It was a time to just to expand and do something, get away from the norm. And before we get out of here, the one thing that we definitely want to hit on is this 5-star recruit, Calvin Ashley, that transferred into FAMU. We got to get this a 5-star recruit. This is the first time ever that a 5-star recruit has came to FAMU.
Exactly.
First time ever.
Frat, I want your opinion on that. I mean, you being a recruit, going through the process, and then also coaching, helping young kids get noticed by by coaches, college coaches. What do you feel this means for the future of higher profile kids like Calvin Ashley, Jalen Jones, and other transfers hitting that transfer portal, coming to HBCUs for an opportunity for playing time?
I mean, I think it's great. I mean, the tables would actually be turned if they consider those HBCUs in the first place. Mm-hmm. You know, but it's it's one of those things. You know, we live in a day and age now. I mean, you know, I see it every day because I coach them. I mean, every parent wants their kid to be the next superstar. Now, is that going to happen? You know, 9 times out of 10, that's not going to happen. You know, but little Johnny, guess what? The way it is now, little Johnny got, if I go over here to a big school, I got 2 helmets, I got 2 or 3 pair of gloves. We practice in these uniforms. We got a home, away, an alternate uniform. We got, an endo facility, endo cafeteria for just the football players. My locker room look like this. My training room look like this. You know, you can't say that about all the SWAC schools and the MEAC schools. You know, now whether that's a lack of funding, whether that's just generational systemization, you know, however you want to, you know, classify it, you know, that's what a lot of kids are looking at now. I mean, when you look at, you know, recruiting, you know, 10, 15 years ago when I was coming out, I mean, the coach called you on the phone. You know, they wasn't sending you a message on Twitter. You wasn't, you know, getting on Twitter saying, hey, I got 12 offers or 15 offers or my recruiting is still open, you know. So it's a lot that goes into it now. It's almost, you know, and I tell kids all the time, a lot of them now, they just like being pursued. You know what I mean? Just that whole recruitment process.
Exactly.
You know, they love that process because now it makes you feel good. You know, you feel like somebody wants you. You know, you're going to these different places. So a lot of that, you know, once you look past that and you say, okay, man, now that I'm out here in the ocean, can I really swim in the ocean? And that's the difference. When you're in the big school, you know, everybody that can swim can't get out there and swim in the ocean.
You're right.
You know, so if you're used to swimming in swimming pools, don't get out there in the ocean to think it's a swimming pool because you can't swim. You follow what I'm saying? So a lot of times they get there and, hey, yeah, coach is doing everything he could, you know, to get you here and recruit you. And now that you sign here, hey, man, you got to get out here and compete. I don't care if you 5-star, 4-star, 3-star. You got to get out here and work, run your sprints, do what everybody else is doing. You know, so a lot of times, you know, once that reality sets in, some of them can and can't handle it, you know. And I'm not saying that's the only reason that a lot of guys transfer because it's a lot that goes into it. Exactly. You know, but that just shows you how the world is changing because 15 years ago, it wasn't no transfer portal. You know, you either made a decision, you made a commitment to say, hey, I'm coming here. If I get redshirted, I'm going to focus on my academics. I'm going to get better. I'm going to get stronger. Then I'm going to come out and I still got 4 years to compete and play. You know, now it's like kids see that spring roster. If they ain't the number one guy and ain't getting no reps, they throwing the deuces.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a different world.
It's funny. It's so funny because that's exactly how they doing it. That's exactly.
Yeah,
I'm not on there. World. Let me go and get that transfer in. Quick.
Yeah, it's a different world.
Here's the thing. Tate Martell. I'm thinking maybe he might end up at an HBCU now because we know he started out at Ohio State, got upset because the guy from Georgia coming to Ohio State, he may not be the starting quarterback at Ohio State. Well, Tate Martell transfers to Miami, gets immediate gets a waiver to allow him to immediately be eligible. And now he's not QB1. And they say he didn't come to practice the next day. So, hey, maybe he's already at Miami. Maybe he might come on over to FAMU. Or who knows? Maybe he might go to Florida Memorial for next year. I mean, that would be awesome for Coach Harris to get a talent like Tate Martell, but I don't think he's going to go to Florida Memorial. I'm just blowing smoke, but I definitely don't think he's going to stay at Miami.
But now watch this. Just like they hit the portal, and this may be a word of advice to all the HBCU coaches out there. Recruit those guys.
Yes.
When you couldn't get them or whatever, as soon as they hit the portal, like you say, hey, something's going on with this kid. He thought he was going to be number 1. Now he's number 2, and he's probably not happy. That's what the portal is there for. Recruit them. I would try to sign every one of them if I was an HBCU coach.
I agree with you.
I would try to sign every one of them.
So I guess that's what we're going to see,
You know.
Kels. Go ahead and lead us out.
All right, so, well, that is the end of the show. We thank you so much for joining us. Once again, Lorenzo, we thank you for joining us, telling us your story. On next week, we are going back. We are going back in time, and we are going to have a guest that has joined us before. So we're going to bring back none other than Paula Jackson, that's over at Hampton University. And Paula's going to talk about the athletics over at Hampton University. I want her to come on and talk about the lacrosse team and the sailing team and the triathlon team and Monet Davis, to be specific. So we're going to have Paula Jackson on, or excuse me, Dr. Paula Jackson on next week, talking about the different things that's going on and the great things that's going on with Hampton University athletics.
All right. So we are out of here. Make sure you tune in next week to catch our interviews. If you want, like I said, Kayla said she gave y'all the number. Call in, interact with us on social media. We are your show for HBCU sports. We are out of here. Have a good night.
Three, 4.